All right. I believe that I am the chairman of the BFRW committee, so I will call the July 23rd, 2024 meeting to order. And I think that we should probably go through introductions. And in fact, well, Dustin, we should probably do a roll call first to make sure we have a quorum.
Jeffringa.
I'm here.
Damon Doyle. Dan Young. Todd Byerther.
Here.
Angela Hopt.
Here.
Katie Sheehan. Tom Handy.
Damon just popped in.
Craig Holt. About Damon Doyle.
Here.
That gives us a quorum.
Sorry about that. Allow anybody else who would like to be recognized to go ahead.
Patrick Hanks here with BIAW.
Okay, thank you, Patrick. Anybody else?
Elizabeth Torsky with Cascade Natural Gas.
Thank you. Okay, so the agenda is up on the screen. And I guess I would ask for a motion to approve.
So moved. This is Todd.
Thanks, Todd. Do I have a second?
Yep. Damon
Thanks,
Doyle.
Damon. And any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. With that, Dustin, I believe I'm going to turn it over to you to go through the tag reports. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And do you have a good method that you plan on? Let's talk about the process here.
Yeah, so my intent here is to go through them one report at a time, and anything where the status quo is going to be maintained, I'll just kind of scroll by them. If we're making recommendations to repeal an amendment or modify the amendment, I will pause to comment on those sections as I scroll through these documents. And if there's comments that we want to make on any of these sections as we go by all means, raise a hand or go ahead and speak up, and I'll be happy to stop and move back if I have to address sections that we might want to discuss a little bit further. But we do have quite a bit to do today here in the 3 hours, 6 reports, and so I anticipate the IBC will take a little bit of time, and the IFC will take a little bit of time, and the IEBC will take some time, but not quite as much as the other 2 documents we'll be reviewing today.
Hey, Dustin, and I see Krista. Are you able to remove the microphone in that room a little closer to you while you speak, please?
Do you guys want to mute the room and I'll use the computer audio?
All right, just can you? All right, just doing a quick mic check.
Well done, thank you.
Yes, much better.
All right, awesome. So folks in the room are only hearing it from my laptop at the moment. All right, so Todd, do you need me to go back over the kind of plan of attack on this one at all?
No, I heard just.
Okay. Awesome. Well, with that, I'm going to, Go ahead.
Dustin, I also thought it would be good for us just to remind everybody the process and where we're at. The hope or intent is that we approve, review and approve these reports today. And then they would get passed on to the full council for approval. But I also want to be clear to everybody, that doesn't mean that everything in here is approved. That process is still, there's a large process, a long process to go the rest of this year to get these, the IBC changes and amendments approved, both these existing as well as any that are proposed. So while this is the first time we're really pulling all of the existing amendments and significant changes together for each of these codes, there's still a long process ahead of us to approve, modify. So I just wanted to make sure everybody was clear with that and what our intent was for the day.
Gotcha. So just to expand on that, we're kind of painting the picture of our starting line for the Group 1 codes adoption process. Like Roger said, this is by no means a final approval of any changes that we're talking about to the codes in these reports. Just other update, our proposal period is open right now. So if you have ideas for changes within our codes, the proposal period has been open and will close on September 19th. At that point, the tags will then start reviewing the code proposals and beginning the preparation of our CR 102s. Once the CR 102s are filed, that opens our public comment period and begins the kind of finalization of this work moving towards Group 2. And I think that kind of covers the general gist of where we're at. And we're also, just to reiterate, we're trying to get through all 6 of these ones today to get them approved to the council. And that council meeting is scheduled right now. We don't have it on the website, but we are moving it to the 30th of this month. So that's next Tuesday. And so after this meeting, we'll do any polishing of these documents that might result as changes here in this meeting. And it's the intent to get the council meeting scheduled and up on our website tomorrow after this meeting is concluded. Anything else before I jump in on the IBC? All right, so we're going to kick it off with the IBC existing amendments report. And let me get my screen shared. All right, and so I have here 2 pages. I'm going to zoom into the page on the left. And if we have comments from this committee here today, I'll enter them here on the right-hand column, and then we'll integrate stuff like that into a report for distribution on our preparation for the council meeting next week. So a quick orientation on what you're going to see here today. We have the WAC code sections listed out individually. Anything that is green text is our Washington State Amendment. Strikeout green language is model code language that's been removed. Regular green text without any other markings is the state amendment. And here in the colored boxes, blue means a keeping of the existing state amendment, which may include renumbering. A green colorization of the box will mean that we're looking to recommend a modification to an existing amendment. And a light orange or light pink color signifies a recommendation to repeal the existing state amendment. And there should be some commentary in the other comments column here as well for those different sections. So like I said earlier, if we see blue in one of these boxes here, I'm going to scroll past it unless somebody else raises their hand and would like to speak on that one. Otherwise, we'll be moving past those sections. Let me get that open so I can see hands that do raise. All right. So we're starting off in the 2024 International Building Code in Chapter 1. And As I just scroll through here, all the amendments in chapter 1, we have a recommendation to keep the existing amendments. In chapter 2, for definitions, as I scroll through, we get to the child care family home definition. There was some rulemaking earlier this year that needs to be carried through to the 2024 codes to update the number allowed in a family home child care use to 16 children. And we'll see that pop up in a couple other places here in this code for family home child care for the update to 16 children. For the definition of custodial care, we have a recommendation to repeal the existing state amendment. And the reason being that the model code language is identical. You'll see here at the top of the screen now that we have the model code language with some of the code updates and the state amendment that is marked in strikeout to show that they're exactly the same. For efficiency dwelling units, we have a recommendation to repeal the existing state amendment. The model code language is identical again. When we get to the definition of high-rise buildings, we have a recommendation to repeal the state amendment. There's a recommendation to entertain a proposal for further review. So the tag's looking to potentially look at this section a little bit more. But the main difference here, I believe, is the usage of the words occupiable roof instead of occupied roof. The definition for limited verbal or physical assistance has a recommendation to repeal because the model language is identical. And that brings us to the end of chapter 2. In chapter 3 for occupancy classification. For section 305.2.4 for family home childcare, I have a recommendation to modify, and that is to update from 12 to 16 children. And we have some additional notes here to coordinate with the IRC requirements. In section 308.5.5, another family home childcare section to update from 12 to 16 and coordinate with the IRC. In section 310.3 for residential group R2, a recommendation to repeal the existing amendment. When compared to the model code language, our state amendment has no regulatory difference. And so the tag is recommended to repeal, not repeal, but remove the state amendment in this section. And that concludes chapter 3. In chapter 4 for special detailed requirements based on occupancy and use. Section 412.7.3 for means of egress, looking to recommend a modification. It's a small one where the metric measurements are not included in our Washington amendment in a couple locations. You'll see here it's struck out in the green language, and the recommendation is to include that metric measurement. In section 420.2 separation walls, we have a recommendation to modify the existing amendment to incorporate the new model code language shown here in blue. Just a note on section 422.3.1 to review in coordination with the International Fire Code as part of our preparation of the CR 102. That is the end of chapter 4. It brings us to chapter 5 for general building heights and areas. In section 503.1.4.1, we have recommendation to repeal. The state amendment is significantly similar to the model code language as it's depicted here. And have a comment, is the word over accurate here versus elements or structures enclosing? Just a pointer to some further consideration during our preparation for the CR 102. Section 503.1.4.2 guards, recommending to keep the existing amendment and modify to include the new language occupiable roof versus occupied roof. For this one, we have a note in 504.4.1 for stair enclosure pressurization increase. To check that the 2020 NEC is the same as the 2023 reference, just to make sure we're not referencing incorrect sections in the new codes. For section 508.5.1, a recommendation to repeal the existing amendment. The model code has identical language. 510.2 horizontal building separation allowance. Repeal the recommendation to repeal this existing amendment in the model code language is the same. That brings us to chapter 6 for types of construction. In section 602.4.2.2.2, protected area, the recommendation is to repeal the existing amendment. The amendment increases costs, and so the TAG made the recommendation that the amendment is not valid anymore, and that the removal of the amendment will reduce cost for the end user. For section 602.4.2.2.4, separation distance between unprotected mass timber elements, a recommendation to repeal the existing state amendment. Another one that saves costs and reduces interior finishes. In section 602.4.2.3, a recommendation to repeal the existing state amendment for similar reasons, that it saves costs. In section 602.4.4.3, another recommendation to repeal the existing amendment and to save cost on the end user. That concludes chapter 6. Chapter 7, fire and smoke protection features in section 704.6.1 is moved to 704.5.1, and it's secondary non-structural attachments to structural members. Recommendation to repeal the state amendment. The model code language is the same as the 2021 amendment language. And in the title, the recommendation to remove non-structural in parentheses from that title of the section. In chapter 8, interior finishes, we have no existing Washington amendments. Chapter 9, fire protection and life safety systems. We have 903.2.11.1.3 marked for checking with the fire review for correlation. In section 907.9, this is a relic amendment location. 907.9 is reserved. The reserved language is only needed to reserve WAC sections. It's not necessary to keep it in the in this section of the model, or not the model code, of the state amendments in the code. In section 909.21.12, a recommendation to repeal the existing amendment. It's already been, the hoist wave venting was already removed in the 2018 and 2021 amendments. And it used to be in section 3009 in the 2015 amendment. In section 913.2.1, protection of fire pump rooms, we have a recommendation to keep the existing amendment and modify, adding new language for the exceptions to the protected pathway from NFPA 20, section 4.14.2.1.1.2. And in 915.1.1, we have a recommendation to modify the existing state amendment. The previous exception number 1 aligns with the 2024 IBC updated language, and the previous exception 2 language is addressed by the 2024 IBC changes. And then we have it marked for checking with the fire review. That should have been highlighted yellow just as a attention grabber.
Dustin, I would maybe mention or clarify for everybody, the IBC and IFC tags are trying to schedule a meeting together to go through. Each of us has a list just to make sure that we are correlated with each other. So that is in process.
Yes, and the correlation, we attempted to get a meeting together before this committee meeting, and it didn't quite have enough people available for that one. And so we'll plan on doing the correlation work as we get ready to process the proposals and before we draft CR 102 language. In 915.2.1 for group E occupancies. That's not right. It should be dwelling units. Modify the existing state amendment to align with updated 2024 IFC language. It limits amendment to adding requirement of CO detection on each level of dwelling where CO detection is required outside of a sleeping area. And that is the end of chapter 9. Brings us to chapter 10, means of egress. In section 1006.3.4 for single exits, recommendation to repeal the existing state amendments. But the model code's the same as our state amendment, but this one's also marked for some legislative rulemaking as directed by the legislature earlier this year. So we'll have some work on that one regardless of whether we repeal the existing amendment or not. Section 1009.8, two-way communication, recommendation to repeal the existing amendment because the model language is now the same. In 1009.8.1, recommendation to repeal the existing amendment because the model code language is the same. In 1014.3, lateral location, the recommendation to repeal the existing amendment as the new model language is the same as the amendment language. In 1015.2, a recommendation to repeal the existing amendment because the model language is the same as the amendment language. And that brings us to chapter 11, accessibility. In 1101.2.1, a recommendation to repeal the existing amendment. This is another reserved section. It's not required to keep that in there. In 1101.2.2, a recommendation to modify the existing amendment with a renumbering to 1101.2.1. In 1101.2.3, a recommendation to repeal the existing amendment It's another reserved section that's not needed to remain in there. In 1101.2.4, a modification to renumber. Different section, sorry. In 1101.2.5, and a modification to renumber to 1101.2.6. And the renumbering here, as we reviewed this, the current amendments have the ICCA 117 out of order with the ICCA 117 book. So the recommendation is just to renumber so that our amendments flow within that publication as well. So all these here that are renumbered, the recommendation is just to get them in order so that they flow better. In section 1107.2 for motor vehicle related facilities, a recommendation to repeal the existing state amendment. R4 has been added by the model code, keep the new model code language and incorporate into Washington Amendment. See the significant changes in exception number 2, additional exceptions are added, and the tag needs to review this new language, and trucks have been added. In 1110.2, a recommendation to repeal the existing state amendment. The model language is the same. Sorry if some of these cells are cut off. I feel like I went through here and covered those pretty well, but some of them got missed. That brings us to chapter 12 for interior environment. In section 1208, a recommendation to repeal the existing state amendments, as the new model language is identical to the amendment language. And that applies to the entire section of 1208. That brings us to chapter 13, where we have no existing Washington amendments. Chapter 14, performance requirements. Section 1402.2, we have a potentially remove the existing amendment. It's already in the 2024, and there's minor changes within this code section, and the tag identified it for additional review. And we wanted to review the reason statement for the creation of the state amendment. Upon review of this section, the state amendment was drafted in 2009, and the amendment made it so that airspace is not required behind fiber cement siding. That amendment was maintained through the 2012 and 2015 cycles in a different location. It used to be 1403.2. And then in the 2021 code cycle, it was moved from 1403.2 to 1402.2 with no change. And as far as finding a rationale statement for this particular amendment, I was not able to find our proposals for the 2009 and the time period that I had for this one. Brings us to chapter 15 for roof assemblies and rooftop structures. We have no existing state amendments for this chapter. And then that brings us to chapter 16 for structural design. We have some minor renumbering here in 1613.4.2. I believe this is to reorganize these sections so that they flow well within the ASCE 7 document as well. That brings us to chapter 17 for special inspections and tests. Section 1705.13.6, plumbing, mechanical, and electrical components. Recommendation to repeal the existing amendment, and the model language is now the same as our amendment language. That brings us to chapter 18 for soils and foundations. Maintain that amendment in that chapter. Chapter 19, soils and foundations. Chapter 20, aluminum, both have no existing Washington amendments. Chapter 21 for masonry. With the recommendations to maintain the amendments of that chapter. In chapter 22, steel, there's no existing amendments. Chapter 23, wood. In section 2304.11.4.1, we have keep the existing amendment. There's a issue that popped up with the 2021 codes that are printed for Washington. Table 2308.7.1, number 1 and number 2 are missing from our code books. This is something new that just cropped up, and we've got to get some information out there for the code users. It has been verified as of today that these tables are present appropriately in the 2024 documents we've been working. So I'm going to delete that note. That brings us to chapter 24, glass and glazing. Section 2405.3, screening, with a recommendation to repeal the existing state amendment. The comment here is that it's been rewritten, has a slightly different format, but contains all of our the elements of the 2021 amendments. Then chapter 25, gypsum panel products and plaster. And chapter 26, plastic, both have no existing Washington amendments. Chapter 27, electrical. I missed going to chapter 28, mechanical, no existing amendments. Chapter 29, plumbing systems. Table 2902.1, modify the existing amendment. We have a comment to incorporate the model language changes that were in the new iCode models, and then to merge the two tables from the IBC and the UPC together to come up with our Washington table. Brings us to chapter 30, elevators and conveying systems. In 3006.3, a recommendation to repeal the existing amendment. Want to confirm with the fire tag that the model code adds new number 5. Recommend repeal because it's identical, and adoption of the new model code section. You can see here the new number 5. Sorry, I got something in my eye. Chapter 31, special construction. Section 3103.1, general, keep the existing amendment as modified to incorporate the new model code language changes, and review for conflict with new exception number 1 and existing state amendments. So you see both of these here have the state amendment, and we have the new exceptions here. In section 3115.1, recommendation to keep the existing amendment. Need to renumber the section and correlate the section with the IFC review of NFPA 130. And same for section 3115.2, keep the existing amendment as modified and correlate with the IFC review of NFPA 130. Chapter 32, encroachments into the public right-of-way have no existing amendments. Chapter 33, safeguards during construction, maintain the amendment. Chapter 34 is reserved in the model code. And chapter 35, reference standards. We have keep the existing amendment as modified. So the Washington Amendment should be modified to remove the ASCE 7 amendments and NFPA 13 lines. The model code has added references and updated to the most current document. Our tag did a review of Appendix E, where there's no existing amendments in here, but in WAC 5150-003, we adopt Appendix E, and so they compared the appendix to the ICC A117 to see if there's anything that we don't need to adopt in Appendix E, and the recommendation was to keep the existing amendment adopting Appendix E. Appendix P, construction and demolition material management / sleeping lofts. In the 2024 code, sleeping lofts is a new Appendix P that's been added. And so the recommendation is to keep the existing amendment and renumber it to the new Appendix Q. So what you see here is the existing Appendix P for 2021. And all that would change in that one as the recommendation is the letter P would change to Q in front of those sections. And that brings us to the end of the existing amendments report. Is there anything we'd like to go back to? Krista, I see you have a hand up. How long has it been there? Okay.
I'm assuming that the changes to 1101.2, that would include renumbering to get rid of that.
Yes.
Dustin, we can't hear Krista's question.
Oh, so Krista asked if the recommendations for the changes in 1101.2 would include renumbering to remove the gaps in those sections. And the answer I gave her was that yes, the renumbering would occur in that fashion, yes. Is there any other sections we would like to go back and take another look at? Seeing no hands and hearing no voices, so I guess we'd be in a position to entertain a motion on this document.
I can make a motion. This is Todd. Again, remind me what motion you're looking for.
A motion to approve the 2024 International Building Code existing amendments report to the council.
Okay, so moved.
Do we have a second?
Second, Angela.
Thanks, Angela. Is there any other discussion from anybody? Okay, then all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? I believe that passes.
All right, that brings us to the IBC significant changes report. All right, so this is much the same as the previous report, except for with the boxes don't have colors on every single line. The colors that are there are going to be on lines where the tag identified that amendment would be needed for the change depicted here in the report. So as I run through this report, I'll be scrolling through the lines that do not recommend an amendment is needed, and I will stop at the ones to comment that are identified that amendment is needed for these sections. So in chapter 1, scope and administration, no significant changes were identified. Chapter 2, definitions, we have no significant changes that need an amendment identified by the tag. Chapter 3, occupancy classification, no significant changes were identified. In chapter 4, special detailed requirements based on occupancy and use.
Dustin, I might also just point out that there also is a column there identifying cost impacts.
Yes. Would you like me to, if there's a increase, stop and comment on those?
I don't need to. I think that the document will be published for everybody to look at, and so if they are interested in reviewing those, I think they can go through the document.
Yeah, so column E here is a column for cost, whether it's a yes or no. We have some comments that include the ICC proposals where these changes came from, and most of them are identified as not having a cost increase. Some, like section 403.5.3, have an increase, but the tag did not deem an amendment would be necessary for this section. And so if there's one that has a cost increase identified and anybody would like me to stop and discuss any further on it, please raise your hand and I'll be happy to do so. And I'll scroll a little slower so that we can read those in there as well. And some of them are identified as decrease as indicated in the ICC proposals as well. Angela?
Okay, so quick question. When it says ICC proposed changes, that's not,
It's just a link in this document so that you could go see this ICC proposal G91-21.
okay, so that those are actual base code language. It's just taking you to the proposal and how it went through. Okay,
Yes.
thanks. That's okay.
So in chapter 5, general building heights and areas, table 509.1, incidental uses. We don't have an amendment identified as being needed, but the tag identified it for some additional review, even though it's not a significant change. And the reason being that here in this table, they add and provide automatic sprinkler system to several lines in here that were not previously requiring sprinkler systems. In chapter 6, types of construction, no significant changes were identified. Chapter 7, fire and smoke protection features. No amendments identified as being needed. Chapter 8, interior finishes. No amendments identified as being needed. Chapter 9, fire protection and life safety systems. It's the 915.1.1. Where required is carbon monoxide section. And the new language in the 2024 affects existing state amendments. They recommend adopting the model code change and adding R2 at item number 5 to match the existing state amendment. And Krista, if you could, if you see a hand go up and I don't see it, could you just holler at me? Chapter 10, means of egress, no significant changes were identified. Chapter 11, accessibility, 1107.2, exception number 1 for electric vehicle charging stations. They have a recommendation to modify the existing amendment. They're saying exception number 1, electrical vehicle charging stations provided to serve group R3 and R4 occupancies are not required to comply with this section. Consider redacting R4. Exception number 2 allows excluding electric vehicle charging stations used exclusively by buses, trucks, and other delivery vehicles. Law enforcement vehicles and motor pools are not required to comply with this section, and consider including Washington law enforcement and redacting all other vehicle mentions in number 2. That is just a recommendation by the reviewer on this particular section. And the R4 is adopted in Washington at this point, so that wouldn't need to be redacted as well. So the recommendation is to modify an existing amendment to bring into some of the new model code language. Chapter 12, interior environment. And 1202.4.3.2, conditioned spaces. Change the reference from International Energy Conservation Code to Washington State Energy Code. Change that. Go. Chapter 13, energy efficiency. Chapter 14, performance requirements, and Chapter 15, roof assemblies and rooftop structures. No significant changes were identified. In 1608, snow loads, amendments called for clarification on snow loads being strength-based or allowable stress. A proposal is needed. Snow load tables in the ASCE have changes. And the question is, are the Washington maps more appropriate? And are they more sensitive to, I guess that they are more appropriate and are more sensitive to elevation changes, of the conversation that was had amongst the tag members. Chapter 17, special inspections and tests. No amendments identified as being needed. Chapter 18, soils and foundations. No amendments identified as being needed. Chapter 19, soils and foundations. No amendments identified as being needed. In Chapter 20 for aluminum and Chapter 21 for masonry, no significant changes were identified. Chapter 22, steel. No amendments identified as being needed. Chapter 23, wood, no amendments identified as being needed. 24, glass and glazing. No amendments identified as being needed. Chapter 25, gypsum panel products and plaster, and Chapter 26, plastic, no significant changes were identified. Chapter 27, electrical, section 2703, lightning protection systems. An amendment was identified as being needed and some coordination with the L&I Electrical Division. As far the recommendation is a possible significant change accepted. It seems logical to limit where lightning protection systems can be installed and how to interconnect those systems. This may increase costs, however, that would be negligible and never requires the same system or requires the system to be installed. It just outlines when you shouldn't, and if you choose to, what all should be connected to it. NFPA was the proponent of this change and provided lots of justification. Note the original proposal was to require lightning protection systems on all buildings, and what was approved was when installed. That brings us to chapter 28, mechanical systems, where no significant changes were identified. Chapter 29, plumbing systems, table 2902.1. Yes, there's many revisions added to this table this time around, providing numerous additional subdivisions of occupancy where required, which required a detailed review for cost implications. These additional categorizations seem to offer advantages and clarity at common mixed occupancy conditions, and a merger with the Washington version of the table will be required with the Washington edition of the occupancy column. Chapter 30, elevators and conveying systems, no significant changes were identified. Chapter 31, special construction. No amendments were identified as being needed. Chapter 32, encroachments into the public right-of-way. Chapter 33, safeguards during construction, no significant changes were identified. Chapter 34 is reserved in the model code. In chapter 35, reference standards, there's several lines in here where the changes are just updating the documents to more current documents. And I believe no amendments are called out for being needed in these changes. Then we get to Appendix E, where no significant changes were identified. Appendix P, the significant change was that it has a new Appendix P in the model code and pushes our appendix to Appendix Q. And the Appendix Q data is just renumber from Appendix P to Q with no new amendments or anything needed. And that brings us to the end of the significant changes report for the 2024 International Building Code. Is there any section we should go back and revisit further? Then seeing no hands, hearing no voices, we're in a position to entertain a motion to move the 2024 International Building Code significant changes report to our council.
This is Todd, so moved. Damon, second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? That passes.
All righty. That will take us to the International Existing Building Code Existing Amendments Report. Righty. In chapter 1 of the 2024 IABC existing amendments, scope and administration. Recommendation to keep the amendments as is in that chapter. Chapter 2 is not also scope and administration, it is definitions. With the recommendation to keep those existing amendments. Okay, I'm not sure what's going on here. Sorry, my chapter titles are all goofed up. Let me get something pulled up here so I can change those as we go.
Dustin, I saw something up about the adult family homes up above. Is there a number of people that needs to be updated?
Is there, no, that would be the child family home,
Oh,
the child family home stuff.
Okay. Okay.
All right. So chapter 3 is titled, hold on, sorry, I'm clicking around. Provisions for all compliance methods. Okay. In section 306.6 additions, a recommendation to repeal the existing amendment. The 2024 model code language is the same. In section 306.7.1, a recommendation to repeal the existing amendment. The new model code language is the same as our amendment language. In chapter 4 for repairs. Okay. Okay. With section 401.2, a recommendation to repeal the existing amendments. The model code language is the same as the state amendment. Section 401.4, repeal the existing state amendment. There's a long commentary here. This WAC amendment requires compliance with the building code provisions for new construction for buildings that are, in quotations, effectively demolished and repaired. Even buildings with substantial structural damage is defined in chapter 2 are allowed to be repaired per section 405. Structural, therefore, this change could have increased costs for construction. Note that effectively demolished is not defined in the IEBC. So how does one determine if the building was effectively demolished or not? Also, or where the intended method of repair is demolition and replacement is also unclear. Many repairs include demolition and replacement. So does any repair where an element is demolished and replacement needed to comply with provisions for the new construction? This would negate much of IEBC section 405 structural. Recommend modifying the amendment to be more clear. So I think that that is a mistake in here. Okay. And this one is covered up by some stuff. Don't know why it's not working. In section 405.1, general, the recommendation to repeal the existing state amendment as the model code language is the same. The same for section 405.1.1, repeal the existing state amendment because the model code is the same. Chapter 5, prescriptive compliance method. 503.13, keep the existing amendment as modified. This WAC amendment exempts voluntary lateral force resisting system alterations from complying with IBC 1609, which is wind, and section 1613, which is seismic, instead of the model code language which exempts compliance from section 503. The listed requirements 1 through 4 are generally the same for both. It appears that the model code allows a voluntary alteration to enjoy more exemptions from requirements than does the WAC amendment. In other words, a voluntary lateral force resisting system alteration must meet a greater number of requirements under the WAC amendment compared to the model code language. It's fine to keep the existing amendment, but incorporate the model language changes as shown here. In section 503.19, a recommendation to modify the existing amendment. 503.19 WAC amendments introduces new language that may have a construction cost increase. Some model code sections must be renumbered to keep the WAC amendment numbering the same. So just renumbering is the modification for this one. Chapter 6, classification of work. Recommendations to keep the existing amendments. Chapter 7, alterations level 1, with the recommendation to keep the existing amendments. Chapter 8, alterations level 2. With the recommendation to keep the existing amendments. In section 809.1, the reference is only to WAC 51-11C, and it should reference both the commercial and residential energy codes. And that brings us to chapter 9, alterations level 3, and in section 907.1, similar to the 809.1, where it only references the commercial energy code and should reference both commercial and residential. Chapter 10, change of occupancy. In 1002.3, a recommendation to modify the existing amendment to include the new model code language. Chapter 11, additions. Keep the amendments as is. Chapter 12, historic buildings, with a recommendation to maintain the existing amendments. Chapter 13, performance compliance methods, no existing amendments for this chapter. Chapter 14, relocated or moved buildings, with a recommendation to keep the amendments as is in that chapter. Chapter 15, construction safeguards, with the recommendation to keep the amendment there. And in chapter 16, reference standards, a recommendation to repeal the existing state amendment in this section. The model code language is the same as our amendment language. And that brings us to the end of the existing amendments report for the 2024 IEBC. And do we have any sections we'd like to go back and visit further? If not, we're in the position to entertain a motion to move the 2024 IEBC existing amendments report to the council.
Great. This is Todd. So moved.
Second, Angela.
Or any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously as well.
So now we're getting to the 2024 International Existing Building Code Significant Changes Report. In chapter 1, scope and administration, no significant changes were identified. I did it again with this one. So just to save some time, I'll come back and I'll double check all these chapter titles here. Chapter 2, definitions, no significant changes were identified. And chapter 3, provisions for all compliance methods. We have some significant changes here with no recommendation for amendments being needed. Chapter 4, repairs. No recommendation for new amendments. Chapter 5, prescriptive compliance method. No recommendation for new amendments. Chapter 6, classification of work. No significant changes were identified. Chapter 7, alterations level 1. No recommendation for new amendments. Chapter 8, alterations level 2. No recommendation for new amendments. Chapter 9, alterations level 3. In section 904.1.3, upholstered furniture or mattresses. Amendment is called out for that one, and the IBC and the IFC contain identical language, and the IEBC needs to be updated to avoid conflict. And another note to correlate between the IFC, review. Chapter 10, change of occupancy. No recommendation for new amendments. Chapter 11, additions. No recommendation for new amendments. Chapter 12, historic buildings. Chapter 13, performance compliance methods. Chapter 14, relocated or moved buildings. Chapter 15, construction safeguards. No significant changes were identified. In Chapter 16, reference standards. No significant changes were identified for the I codes. A comment was made that correlation and inclusion of UPC standards would be a helpful addition to the I code amendments for this reference. And that brings us to the end of the significant changes report for the 2024 International Existing Building Code. Is there any section that we want to go back and revisit by chance? Then,
All right, Todd, you're on.
Well, I'll let Dustin make the
I will say
request.
that we are in a position to entertain a motion to move the 2024 International Existing Building Code Significant Changes Report to the council.
Okay, this is Todd, so moved.
Second, Angela.
There any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? All right, that passes as well. Dustin, can I clarify, if I had to drop off here at 2:30 for another call, would we lose our quorum?
And then, yes, we would.
Okay, I will plan on staying on. I will let them know that I can't make that appointment.
1 second, we've got Craig Holt, who wasn't here for roll call, who is on the call now, so we would maintain quorum.
Okay. So I would need to drop off in about 10 minutes. Do we want to have somebody step in as the interim chair? I would nominate Todd if he would be willing to do that. I know he runs the meetings very well.
Well, that's kind, and I will accept. Did you say 2:30 or 3:30, Roger? I heard 3:30.
Oh, I have a appointment at 2:30 that was not on my calendar and just popped up. So in 10 minutes, I need
10
to
minutes,
log
okay.
off here.
Gotcha.
So,
Yeah, no problem.
So we'll get into the IFC report, and then I guess just pop on and say you're heading out so we can make the change, but I'll probably be in the middle of the report as we get moving on this one.
okay, thank you.
Thank you, Roger. And thank you, Todd. All right, we are with the 2024 International Fire Code Existing Amendments Report. All right. On this one, I have the preface section included in here. There's a couple changes to this stuff. It's doesn't really concern existing amendments, just our publication stuff. So we have a update to our 2024 implementation date of November 1st, 2026. in the general. In the second section, we have some updated dates and phone numbers that are no longer valid. And the adoption date is still pending out on this one, so we just have some place markers for those. Because these are all very editorial, I didn't include them in the other reports. I started with this one, so anyway. And for WAC 5154A-003 International Fire Code, update the 2021 version to the 2024 edition. And in 5154A-008 implementation, update the amendment to be our new implementation date, which is November 1st, 2026. In Chapter 1, Scope and Administration, Section 105.5.14.1 has moved to 105.5.29 with the recommendation to repeal the existing amendment. The model code language is identical. In 105.5.32, recommendation to keep the existing amendment with a renumbering and editorial model code change. Check 320 for exceptions for display vehicles. That is the end of Chapter 1. Chapter 2, definitions. We have the definition for custodial care being identified for additional review with the IBC language for correlation purposes. And the definition for emergency responder communications enhancement system, ERCES, with a recommendation to repeal the existing amendment because the model code language is identical. The definition for frequency with a recommendation to repeal the existing amendment as the model code language is identical. For frequency license holders, the recommendation to repeal the amendment because the model code language is identical or almost identical. For the definition of frequency licensing authority, a recommendation to repeal the amendment. The model code language is identical. One thing I would point out in the new model code for occupancy classification in the 2024 IFC, the section is moved out of the definition section and there's a new section 203. In our amendment will just need to be renumbered into that section. For the definition of powered micro mobility devices, recommendation to repeal the amendment. The model code includes a new definition worded slightly different than our existing amendment. Chapter 3, general requirements. Section 301.2 permits, a recommendation to repeal the amendment. The model code picks up chapter 320 for lithium batteries with a note that the 2021 chapter 320 was additive manufacturing. Consider to amending to include 2024 chapter 19 additive manufacturing and check the ICC errata. Looks like I have 304 or 301.2 definitions. Repeal the existing amendment. Mobile food preparation vehicle section 319 was relocated to chapter 4106. The new model code language adds a new definition, valet trash collection. No amendments needed to this section. 307.4.2, a recommendation to modify the existing amendment to include updated model code language and the metric measurements and maintain the reference to our WAC. Or not to our WAC, but a different WAC. Section 314.4, a recommendation to repeal the existing amendment. There's some editorial differences, but the model code language is substantially the same as our amendment language. Section 319.1 has moved to section 4106.1. The recommendation is to repeal the existing amendment and reserve the WAC section and create a new amendment in chapter 41. And we have that included in our significant changes report as well. In section 322.1, general, recommendation to repeal the existing amendment because the model code language is the same. 322.2, repeal because this amendment language is the same as the new model code language. In 322.3, fire safety plan, repeal because the language is the same as the model code. Section 322.4, storage requirements, the recommendation to repeal because the model language is the same. 322.4.1, limited indoor storage in containers with a recommendation to repeal because the model language is the same. I believe that a lot of these in here are going to be the same reason the model code's the same. So I'm going to scroll through here until we have a different one in a different section.
We should do, hey, what are you doing?
All right, that brings us to chapter 4, emergency planning and preparedness. In 403.10.6, a recommendation to repeal the existing amendment. The model code language clarifies and expands on the Washington Amendment language. This one was for 403.11.3. They have to maintain the amendment, but also have in here a consider a repeal recommended by the tag to, instead of going to 1,000 people on crowd managers, keep it at the model code language 500 was the consideration on that one. 406.1, recommendation to modify the existing amendment and add "and uses" after occupancies in the first sentence. Chapter 5, fire service features. Five 10.1, emergency responder communications enhancement systems in new buildings. Recommendation to repeal the existing amendment. There's also review addition of exception number 4. So the model code language is similar, is substantially the same with a new addition of exception. 510.2, emergency responder communication enhancement systems in existing buildings with a recommendation to repeal the existing amendment. Washington Amendment is now the same as the model code language. 510.3 for permits, repeal the existing amendment as it is the same as the model code language. Same for 510.4, same for 510.4.1. It's also the same for 510.4.2 and 510.4.2.1 and 510.4.2.2 and 510.4.2.3. 510.4.2.6, additional frequencies and change of frequencies, a recommendation to repeal the amendment. It's the same as the model code. Same for 510.4.2.7, design documents. Same for 510.4.2.8, radio communication antenna density. In 510.5.5, FCC compliance with a recommendation to repeal the existing amendment. It's the same as the model code language. In these sections, there may be potential proposals coming in, but the recommendation from the tag was to keep the existing amendment. Section 510.6, maintenance, repeal the existing amendment It's the same as the model code language. Five ten dot six dot two, repeal the existing amendment. It's the same as the model code language. 510.6.3, repeal the existing amendment. It's the same as the model code language. And that brings us to chapter 6, building services and systems.
Dustin, I'm gonna have to step out.
All right, thank you, Roger. Todd, you're on deck. In
All good, thanks.
in section 606.2.1, a recommendation to keep the amendment, and we had a question to correlate within the mechanical code. Talking with those folks, they're maintaining the same language in their amendment and maintaining the amendment. In chapter 7, fire and smoke protection features, we have a WAC number that is reserved, but no existing amendments within that chapter. Chapter 8, interior finish, decorative materials and furnishings. Maintain the existing amendments in that chapter. Chapter 9, fire protection and life safety systems. In table 903.2.11.6, a recommendation to repeal the existing state amendment as the new model code language addresses amendment language. (907.2.3), a recommendation to modify the existing amendment. Minimize unnecessary language changes such as shall not be language versus are not. Some pretty much editorial changes recommended there. Section 907.2.6.1, recommending to repeal the existing state amendment. The new model code language is the same. This one's the wrong color. In section 907.8.4.1, a recommendation to modify the existing to remove the effective date of July 1, 2018. In sections 907.11.1 through 907.11.2, modify the existing state amendment to remove effective dates at the end of section. In 915.1.1, a recommendation to modify the existing amendment. The previous exception number 1 aligns with 2024 IFC updated language and adds requirements for all group R2 occupancies with the exception of R2 college dormitories. And then the previous exception number 2 language is addressed by the 2024 IFC language, and a recommendation to review a little bit further and correlate with the International Building Code tag. 915.2.1, modify the existing amendment to align with updated 2024 IFC language, and further review and correlation with the IBC tag. In section 915.5.1, recommendation to remove the existing amendment. The model code language has new language that addresses the existing amendment. Same for 915.5.2 and same for 915.6. Oh, blank page. In chapter 10, means of egress. Section 1004.5, for areas without fixed seating, repeal the existing amendments. The model code language is the same. Same for 1004.5.1. 1006.3.4, single exits, repeal the existing state amendments. There's work on this section directed by the legislature, and we're looking to coordinate with the IBC tag. The recommendation seems to not an amendment, it seems to not be needed. In section 1009.8, two-way communications, recommendation to repeal the existing state amendment. Seems to not be a needed amendment, and they want to coordinate with the building tag. In 1010.3.4, security grills, a recommendation to repeal the existing amendment. The model code language is the same. It's like 1010.3.4, repeal the existing amendment. The model language was the same. In 1011.17, a recommendation to modify the existing amendment and relocate to 1011.1, exception number 2, and that'll correlate it with the Washington Building Code. Ten 14.2.2, a recommendation to repeal the existing amendment. The model code language is the same as the amendment language. 1015.2, recommendation to repeal, as the model code language is the same. That's chapter 11, construction requirements for existing buildings. 1103.2, with a recommendation to repeal, the language is the same. Brings us to chapter 12, energy systems. I do believe that almost all of chapter 12 is going to be repeal the state amendment. Bill, or Will Bill?
Yeah, just had a quick comment on, let me look at my notes here. Page 56 and 57, 12.05.2 and particularly 12.05.6. I want to thank the tag for including this language. This was originally in the was adopted in the 2018 and maybe as early as a 2015 code cycle. It was inadvertently left out during the 2021 process. So we're delighted that this language is back, and this is the language that the solar industry needs and appreciates. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. So most of chapter 12, they're looking to repeal the existing state amendments because the model code language is the same. So I will reverse my tactic on this one and stop at the sections we're going to keep, just to point them out. In section 1205.1 general, looking to keep that one and modify a little bit to remove the second sentence of the state amendment. 1205.2.1, keep the WAC amendment with a recommendation for further review. 1205.6 with a recommendation to keep the WAC amendment. And then 1207 as a whole section has been reorganized, and we just highlighted the whole thing. It needs to be reevaluated, and proposal is needed to reorganize the amendments in this section to align with the 2024 code sections. Chapters 13 through 19 are reserved in the model code. Chapter 20, aviation facilities, contains no amendments. Chapter 21, dry cleaning, contains no amendments. Chapter 22, combustible dust producing operations, contains no amendments. Chapter 23, motor fuel dispensing facilities and repair garages, contains no amendments. Chapter 24, flammable finishes, in section 2404.2.1, with a recommendation to repeal the amendment. The new model code is the same as our WAC language. Chapter 25, fruit and crop ripening, is a reserved chapter, contains no amendments. Chapter 26, fumigation and insecticidal fogging, contains no amendments. Chapter 27, semiconductor fabrication facilities, contains no amendments. Chapter 28, lumber yards and agro-industrial solid biomass and woodworking facilities, contains no amendments. Chapter 29, manufacture of organic coatings, contains no amendments. Chapter 30, industrial ovens, contains no amendments. Oh man. Clicked way out of it. I'm almost there. Okay. Chapter 31, tents, temporary special event structures and other membrane structures. Inflatable amusement devices is a new section 3106. Tag identified it for needing further review. And needs further review. Chapter 32, high piled combustible storage. Contains no amendments. Chapter 33, fire safety during construction and demolition. Section 3303, with a recommendation to repeal the existing amendment. The model language is the same. Section 3303.1.1 is the same. Delete the amendment with the model code language being the same. Section 3303.2.1, with a recommendation to repeal the existing amendment. The model code language is the same. Section 3303.3, number 10, with a recommendation to delete the state amendment because the model language is the same. Section 3303.5.1, delete the amendment. The model language is the same. Same for 3303.5.2. Same for 3303.5.2.1, duties. Same for 3303.5.2.3, means of notification. Same for 3303.5.3, fire watch location and records. I will stop repeating all of that and we'll go. Looks like the remainder of chapter 33 is deleted because the model code language is the same. Chapter 34, tire rebuilding and tire storage, contains no amendments. Chapter 35, welding and other hot work, contains no amendments. Chapter 36, marinas. Section 3601.3, permits, recommendation to repeal the amendment. It is contained within section 105. Chapter 37, combustible fibers, contains no amendments. Chapter 38, higher education laboratories, contains no amendments. Chapter 39, processing and extraction facilities, contains no amendments. Chapter 40, storage of distilled spirits and wines, contains no amendments. Chapter 41, temporary heating and cooking operations, contains no amendments. Chapter 42 through 48 are reserved in the model code. Chapter 49 is also a reserved chapter in the model code, but we have an amendment in that section for fixed guideway transit and passenger rail systems. We have a recommendation to modify our amendment within this chapter to align NFPA 130 with the 2023 edition. Chapter 50, hazardous materials in general provisions, is a reserve chapter. Chapter 51, aerosols, there's no state amendments. Chapter 52 is reserved. Chapter 53, compressed gases. Maintain the amendment within that chapter. Chapter 54, corrosive materials, no amendments in that chapter. Chapter 55, cryogenic fluids, no amendments in that chapter. Chapter 56, explosives and fireworks, Maintain the existing amendments within that chapter. Chapter 57, flammable and combustible liquids. This one's a modify the amendment to renumber in section of 5704.211 underground tanks. Section 5706.5.4.5 commercial, industrial, governmental, or manufacturing, with a modification to modify the amendment and include class 1 liquids in the state amendment. And yeah. Not sure about this particular line. 5707.1 general. There's no amendment in this section, I don't think. Let me just double check. Okay, so we should repeal the amendment because it's the same as the model code language. All right. Section 5707.1.1, recommend modifying the amendment. They're recommended to use the model code language here. So this one will probably have some further review needed on that section. Section 5707.2, mobile fueling vehicle, repeal the existing state amendment. It's the same as the model code. 5707.2.1, mobile fueling vehicle classifications, recommend repeal the existing amendment. They use the word tier instead of type on the model code language this season, in essentially the same as our amendment language. Section 5707.2.2, mobile fueling vehicle requirements, recommend repeal the existing amendment. The language is contained within the model code. That is going to be the same for the next couple here. So 5707.3 through 5707.3.3, with the recommendations to repeal the existing amendment because the model code language is the same. 5707.4, mobile fueling areas, repeal the existing amendment because the model code language is the same. And then 5707.4.1 through 5707.6.4, recommend repeal because the model code language is the same. And all those sections are just listed right there. In 5707.6.6, which is spill reporting, recommend repeal the existing amendment. It's model code language is the same. Chapter 58, flammable and combustible liquids, contains no amendments. Chapter 59, flammable solids, contains no amendments. Chapter 60, highly toxic and toxic materials, contains no amendments. Chapter 61, liquefied petroleum gases, contains no amendments. Chapter 62, organic peroxides, contains no amendments. Chapter 63, oxidizers, oxidizing gases, and oxidizing cryogenic fluids, contains no amendments. Chapter 64, pyrophoric materials, contains no amendments. Chapter 65, trioxylin cellulose nitrate plastics, contains no amendments. Chapter 66, unstable reactive materials, contains no amendments. Chapter 67, water reactive solids and liquids, contains no amendments. Chapters 68 through 79 are reserved chapters in the model code. Chapter 80, reference standards. We have some modifications to NFPA 33 to update to the 2024 edition. NFPA 96 update to 2024 edition. NFPA 130 update to 2023 edition. NFPA 855 update to the 2023 edition. And that brings us to the end of the 2024 IFC existing amendments report. Does anybody have any sections they'd like to go back and revisit? Seeing no hands and hearing no voices, we're in a position to entertain a motion to approve this report to the council. So this report being the 2024 IFC existing amendments report.
I think just in time, Roger's coming back on board.
Time for what?
Time for the vote.
Oh.
So then I'll move. I'll make that motion.
Second, Angela.
You.
Roger, do you want to
So-
call the vote?
Sure. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I,
Any opposed, say no. All right, motion carries.
All right, this brings us to the 2024 International Fire Code Significant Changes Report. Excuse me. And the preface chat in table of contents says, no significant changes were identified. In chapter 1, scope and administration. We have section 104.2.3, alternative materials, design and methods of construction and equipment. This section was moved from the 2021 IFC 104.10 with a new exception. So the recommendation is that we need an amendment and to strike the new exception with the amendment. In section 104.2.4.2, natural disasters. A new section needs review. It allows the fire code official to make special policies regarding code, with an example being the special provisions during COVID. A recommendation for an amendment with additional review for potential proposals, and are there existing Washington laws to reference within this section? As a question for when we do additional review. Section 105.5.56, temporary heating or cooking in wildfire risk areas. This is a new section, and the opinion from the tag is that yes, an amendment was needed, and suggests replace local regulations with fire code official. In chapter 2, no significant changes were identified. In chapter 3, general requirements. No additional amendments were identified as being needed. Chapter 4, emergency planning and preparedness. No additional amendments were identified as being needed. Chapter 5, fire service features, section 503.1 through 503.4.1. An amendment's needed. Recommend to review and keep this section as not adopted. In section 510, emergency responder communication enhancement systems, recommend to match the title from the model code into the WAC. Chapter 6, building services and systems, no significant changes were identified. Chapter 7, fire and smoke protection features, no additional amendments were identified as being needed. Chapter 8, interior finish, decorative materials and furnishings. No additional amendments were identified as being needed. Chapter 9, fire protection and life safety systems. In table 903.2.11.6, additional required fire protection systems. We have repeal the existing amendment for this section. The change addresses previous state amendment, and the language is picked up in the model code. So an amendment is needed to repeal the existing amendment, or the proposal is needed to repeal that existing amendment. In 915.1.1, where required, the new language in 2024 code affects the existing state amendment. Recommendation is to adopt the model code and add R2 at item 5 to match. And it's also flagged for additional review. Chapter 10, means of egress, no significant changes were identified. Chapter 11, construction requirements for existing buildings. Section 1103.2, fire safety requirements for existing buildings. I don't have a comment on this one as to what the issue is. Chapter 12, energy systems, is that same one that we identified. The whole section needs to be reviewed because it's been reorganized. Chapter 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19 are reserved chapters. Chapter 20, aviation facilities, contained no identified significant changes. Chapter 21, dry cleaning, no significant changes were identified. Chapter 22, combustible dust producing operations, no significant changes were identified. Same for chapter 23, chapter 24. Chapter 25 is a reserve chapter. Chapter 26 and 27, 28, 29, and 30, no significant changes were identified. Chapter 31, tents, temporary special event structures, and other membrane structures. There's a new section, an amendment is needed, and it needs additional review before a recommendation is made. In chapter 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, and 38, no significant changes were identified. Chapter 39, processing and extracting facilities. Section 3901.1, scope is identified as needing an amendment. Determine if the exception is acceptable for greenhouses, and a proposal and additional review is needed. 3905.3, ventilation. Determine if an exception should be modified to include approved by the fire code official per 104.2.3 with an additional review flagged. Chapter 40, storage of distilled spirits and wines. Section 4004.4, bulk beverage storage areas. Excuse me. Recommend striking of bulk or defining the term in the definition section. So a proposal will be needed if we're doing either of those. Chapter 41, temporary heating and cooking operations. Section 4101.1, general. Define temporary. May need a definition section added or utilize and insert/adopt. 3103.4 use period, temporary tents, air supported, air inflated or tension membrane structures shall not be erected for a period of more than 180 days within a 12-month period on a single premises or dependent on the AHJ. Proposal needed to define temporary. Section 4101.8, refueling of flammable and combustible liquid fueled equipment. Recommend adding refueling and 20 feet is, recommend adding the term refueling and 20 feet is consistent with 3108.13.3, refueling requirements from tents or membrane structures. Section 4101.9, cooking operations. We have a recommendation to add another sub here. Appropriate clearance from combustible ignition sources shall be approved by the fire code official. Section 4104.2, open flame cooking devices. It has been moved from section 308.1.4. Was not adopted, needs to remain not adopted in a new location. Section 4104.4, cooking operations, with a recommendation to add some additional conditions. A Class K portable fire extinguisher is readily available, and 3-foot clearance is maintained from cooking operations and combustibles. Section 4105.1.2, power supply. See Word document for a recommendation. Power supply adds the adds the words and approved and listed in the sentence there. Section 4106.4.2, fire protection systems and devices. Recommend adding fire extinguisher section per 906. Section 4106.4.3.1, LP gas systems. Recommend removing this section. Same for 4106.4.3.3, annual leakage test. Section 4106.6, solid fuel. Recommend a new amendment to take into consideration solid fuel burning, such as mobile pizza ovens located within the vehicle, or determine if we do not allow these types of food trucks to be in operation. The concern is with discarded smoldering embers. Section 4106.7, oven. Consideration for the installation requirements for wood burning ovens, UL 2126 requirements. Chapters 42 through 48 are reserved. Chapter 49, fixed guideway transit and passenger rail systems, contain no significant changes. The chapters all Washington State amendments. Chapter 50, hazardous materials, general provisions. No additional amendments identified as being needed for that chapter. Chapter 51, aerosols, is a reserved chapter. Chapter 52 is reserved. Chapter 53, compressed gases. This one contains an existing state amendment. Recommendation is to not have that amendment and go with the model code language. Chapter 54, corrosive materials. Chapter 55, cryogenic fluids. Chapter 56, explosives and fireworks. Chapter 57, flammable and combustible liquids. All have no significant changes identified. Chapter 58, flammable and combustible liquids. No additional amendments identified as being needed. Chapter 59, flammable solids. Chapter 60, highly toxic and toxic materials. Chapter 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, and 67. No significant changes were identified for those chapters. Chapter 68 through 79 is reserved. And chapter 80, reference standards. An amendment is needed for the NFPA section. NFPA 13 amendment to remove the requirements for sprinklers and hydraulic elevator pits. This is to align with some new 2025 NFPA 13 edition. And with that, that brings us to the end of the significant changes report for the 2024 IFC. Does anybody have any section they'd like to go back and revisit? Ken?
Page 20 of your document.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, right there on it. So you didn't know you didn't have anything for chapter 11. You just mentioned a significant change, and that's that 1107 section energy storage system. It will be a significant change to existing businesses for a cost of having to develop a failure modes and effectives analysis. This will be a significant cost for existing businesses that have an energy storage system that was installed prior to the adoption of 2018. So this is a significant cost.
Is the statement significant cost to existing businesses kind of cover what you want to
Yep.
include there?
Yep, that's fine. Yeah, I just want to make sure it didn't get looked over.
Okay.
Thanks.
And Ken or Roger, so was that just missed at the tag level?
No, it was discussed at the tag level.
Oh, okay, okay.
Just wasn't included in the report here. It sort of was included. You got to it. You just couldn't remember which section we had to talk about, and that was it.
All righty. Any other sections we should go back and retouch? All right. I'm not seeing any hands or hearing anybody. So that would place us in a position to entertain a motion to move the 2024 International Fire Code Significant Changes Report to the council.
It's so moved.
Second, Angela.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. That motion passes. So Dustin, does that get us to the end of that agenda item?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I just want to publicly make sure I call out all of the hard work that all of the members of the TAG group, as well as Dustin and all of the SBC staff did to pull those reports together. I know that it was a whole lot of work, and I think the staff has done a great job taking a whole lot of information from a number of different TAG members and pulling it into a very coherent document for us, as Dustin said, a starting point. So I just wanted to commend everybody for all of their hard work, and I think it's a great document, great starting point for us to move forward.
That was smooth for months of work. Well done.
Awesome. Thank you guys. And thanks to TAG members, thank council members, everybody who had a hand in this. All the work's greatly appreciated. So that, go ahead.
Yeah, can you pull the agenda up? I don't have it in front of me.
We have two opinions on the table today.
Okay, do you want to go ahead and
Yes.
present those?
The first one is an opinion that I got from two different jurisdictions from both Bellevue and Everett over the residential code section 302.3 for two-family dwellings. The first question is a newly constructed residential unit consisting of a primary dwelling unit and an accessory dwelling unit considered a two-family dwelling? The draft answer I have for that is yes. Any building that contains two dwelling units providing complete independent living facilities for one or more persons, including permanent provisions for living, sleeping, eating, cooking, and sanitation, is considered a two-family dwelling. Damon. Damon, if you're speaking, you're muted.
I was using sign language, but I didn't have my video on. Would that apply to a detached garage with living space above, or is that considered two dwellings?
Well, I would say that it doesn't apply to a detached garage with space above because they're not co-located, they're not attached. So
Okay.
it'd be a
Thank you.
single family dwelling in that instance.
Okay.
Todd,
I'm not as familiar with the IRC, but you know, one of the challenges we have is in development codes, we're trying to move away from the term family in the definition. I know it's in the IBC, I assume it's in the IRC. Is two family in the
yes.
definitions of IRC? Okay. There's
Well,
no alternative.
Hold on, I may have misspoke right there. As far as a definition for two family dwelling, it's in the scoping of the IRC. And so the answer I have to him here is pulled from the definition of a dwelling unit. And then there's there's a definition for dwelling, and then there's a definition for dwelling unit within the IRC. And so as far as a two-family dwelling, that's not specifically defined in the IRC.
And that's the part I'm questioning is the term family necessary in there? I understand that might have been in the question, but
I would say that no, the term family is not necessarily needed in there. That's just using terminology used elsewhere.
is anyone opposed to striking the term family out of there?
Is that the title of our 302.3?
Let's see.
And that's when I'm probably just not aware.
Let me see here. 302.3. So yeah, the title of the section 302.3 is two family dwellings.
We're not gonna change that in this meeting. So okay, thank you.
But I agree with your point, Todd.
All right.
It's just more that, you know, we're not consistent with where development codes are going, but again, we're not going to solve that here. So thanks.
I mean, maybe in the future it'll be two dwelling unit structures or something. I don't know. I'll go back to the term duplex. Anyway, is there any modifications we want to make to this outside of the two family comments? Okay. So that leads us to the next question. Is the intent of this section to allow an accessory dwelling unit to be constructed within a new single-family dwelling at initial build-out without providing 1 hour fire rated separation between the primary residence and the accessory dwelling unit by providing interconnected smoke alarms only? The answer I give them to that one is no. The exception number 2 to section 302.3.1 states, where an accessory dwelling unit is added within an existing single-family residence to create a two-family dwelling, fire rated separation between the accessory dwelling unit and the primary dwelling unit is not required when all required smoke alarms are interconnected in such a manner that the actuation of one alarm will activate all alarms in both the primary dwelling unit and the accessory dwelling unit. So the key parts of that exception are it's added to an existing and added within an existing single family dwelling. So if you are building this structure as a new structure with the intent of having two dwelling units in it, you would still need the fire separation. That brings us to the next question.
Dustin, can you blow that up, the document a little bit better?
Yes, I certainly can.
Thank you. So is your definition, you're saying if it is added within an existing single family residence, you're splitting as an existing single family residence into two, you don't have to put in a 1 hour separation. But
Correct.
if you're building new, you would have to do the 1 hour. Okay,
Angela, I saw your hand pop up there for a second. Do you have something you want to add?
Yeah, I was gonna say in actual like review and things, we see this, somebody's changing their basement into an ADU after the fact. It's older houses that they're converting, or the garage into the ADU, and it's meant so that, I mean, you can't put a 1 hour separation most of the time because you don't have the ceiling height, or you'd have to rip apart the walls and everything on them. So yeah, this came in a few code cycles ago.
Yeah, and this section is all Washington State Amendment as well. So there's no model code language within the section we're addressing at the moment as well. So the third question on this one, does R302.3.1 exception 2 apply to a new addition containing an accessory dwelling unit? The answer I've provided in this draft is no. The exception stipulates that the new accessory dwelling unit is added within an existing SFR. So if you are adding on to the SFR, you should have the capability to build that firewall in between that addition and the new one. Damon.
What happens in an instance where an addition is added, but you're also encompassing part of the existing as the new ADU?
I mean, as far as that one, I think that might be a jurisdictional call as far as where they're drawing the line on that one. Angela?
I mean, again, that's just me, but it says within an existing, and we've never allowed it to, if they want to add extra square feet, they can bring it fully up. But again, that would be an interesting debate amongst the council as far as what that would be.
Roger?
I just am wondering with Todd's initial question about the 2-family and single family. Do we want our answers to not say single family residence? Is that defined family or single?
It's not defined, but it's just the terminology used elsewhere in the code, and it's why I drafted this way.
Okay. And then I also wanted to clarify, if our committee unanimously approves these, then we're done. If we think that we should have these conversations at the broader council meeting, then we would, if one of us votes no, then it would get pushed up to the whole council meeting. Is that correct?
Is that correct?
Roger, is that true, or is it by whatever the motion is? I can't remember in the past. We can choose, we have that option, or we can pass it to the council, or in this case, this is one where I'm questioning whether it needs to be pushed down to the tag, but I'd like to, I assume we're taking testimony today?
We can open up for public comment as well, yes.
I can say that the meeting this morning, the other committee meeting, we did do a couple interpretations. They were unanimous and we passed them forward back to the jurisdiction. So
yep.
That provision's there. You've got an extra letter in, looks like your third answer starts with A302. See the little red dash in there? Or laundry rooms.
Oh. Okay.
Damon or others, do you know though, we do have the option of also passing or requesting that the tag look at this? Is that true?
That I don't know. I'd defer that back to Dustin. It certainly can go to the full council.
I think it could go either way. I don't think there's any specific rule that says it has to go up or down or out. All right, so are we ready for the next question? Okay. So the next question, accessory dwelling units often share spaces, example, entrances, laundry facilities, etc. With the main portion of the dwelling, if the code requires the building to be regulated as a two-family dwelling, are these shared spaces required to be separated from only the ADU portion or from both dwelling units? The answer I've provided in the draft is section 302.2 stipulates dwelling unit separation is required. A dwelling unit is not required to have the features such as entryways or laundry rooms. As long as the required elements of each dwelling unit are separated, the exact location of the separation would be up to the designer. And then the last question on this one is the intent of this code to allow for the creation of a maximum of 2 connected units, i.e. existing one-family dwelling unit, existing one-family dwelling, adding an ADU to result in a 2-family dwelling under the provisions of the residential code, or does this code allow for an existing 2-family dwelling to add a connected ADU resulting in a 3-unit building still under the provisions of the residential code rather than the building code? The answer I provided is a structure with 3 units would need to conform to the definition of a townhouse. Townhouse units must extend from the foundation to the roof and have a yard on at least 2 sides, extending at least 50% of the length of those 2 sides.
What did you rely on for that?
The definition of a townhouse unit.
Okay. It's typically a townhome is 3 tax parcels as well. If it's a 3-unit building, it's 3 separate pieces of property.
Angela?
No, that's not by definition. By definition, a townhouse can be as many units as they want on a single lot, and it's only if they condoize them or do 0 lot line, which are 2 kind of different things, that if they do either of those, but otherwise there's nothing saying that a townhouse can't be under a single ownership. And as long as it meets that definition where there's the 2 exposed sides and it goes foundation to roof, you could have 300 of them. And they'd still all be under the IRC.
And that would bring me to the end of this interpretation request from Bellevue and Everett.
Yeah, correct the spelling of Bellevue. I think it's good to go.
Is there an E missing in there?
Yeah.
So if this one's good to go, we're ready to entertain a motion to approve this interpretation for issuance to the local jurisdictions.
Dustin, if I may, is my chair. This is one where I don't feel fully qualified, but is it one where we want to seek some public comment if desired?
Yeah, I would, I guess, Todd, I'm the chair, so I want to make sure that it is open to anybody from the public who would like to comment. I think we kind of implied that, but certainly want to make sure that that's the case.
I think that the interpretation follows the code. I don't disagree with anything in any of the responses. So we've got a hand up.
Yeah, Brett, go ahead.
Yes, seems to have strong implications for providing more accessible, more ADU units within the code. If we come down and suggest that they need to be separated with 1-hour construction, it will probably limit the number of ADUs coming through the system. So it may be outside our current definitions to provide for a strategy for this to exist. So it seems like the council may want to weigh in on this based on what the legislature has done over the last year for housing creation.
Okay. Thank you, Brett. Angela?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with this going to the whole council, but this interpretation, I mean, is pretty much the letter of the code. I think the reason that they're coming forward with this is because architects and designers are trying to push the envelope to get more of a multifamily in without having to put in the sprinklers, the ratings, the things like that, that would be imposed by pushing into the IBC. But again, that aside, these are pretty much, I mean, just reiterating what the exact wording is from the code section.
Okay, Ken?
On the last question, can you scroll a little bit further down, or is that it? Okay, I don't think you answered it. Resulting in a 3-unit building, still under the provisions of the residential code rather than the building code. You didn't answer that. Is it staying within the scope of the residential code, or is it going into the building code? I think that might have been their question.
So I do kind of agree with you there, Ken, that I didn't necessarily give a yes or no on that one. Only because if it depends on the configuration that they're proposing for the addition of their additional dwelling unit. So if they're, for instance, say adding on, then they can then meet the definition and provisions for townhouse construction and have it go from foundation to roof. Whereas if they're coming in underneath a existing and they're finishing out the basement, then and they had like maybe 2 units on the upper floor and they're going to finish the basement for a third, it won't necessarily go from the foundation to the roof on that one. So I didn't have a clear direction because of the 2 different kind of configurations that you might have. And I thought that pointing them back to the definition of a townhouse would color them and say, yes, it'll stay in the residential code if you can make it conform to a townhouse. If you can't be a townhouse unit, then you by definition get kicked into the International Building Code.
Angela, your hand is up. Do you have another comment?
I was just gonna say, I mean, to answer the question, you could just start it with, in order to stay within the International Residential Code, a structure with 3 units would need to, just to sort of, you know, clarify it a little bit. That's just a one way.
Which that does pretty much limit going to 3 units. It makes it pretty difficult to do 3 units, correct?
No, if they have a like side-by-side duplex and they add an addition off the back or on the side, you can still meet the definition of a townhouse. A townhouse can go in an L shape. It just can't go 4 units back to back with 2 on each. But, oh yeah, it could. It can't go 6, sorry. But yeah, it's doable and they are making it work.
Todd?
So, I mean, obviously we're giving this in terms of where the code is now. We're tasked with addressing this in this cycle, up to 6 units, I believe. But I guess my question for everyone is it sounds like there's some confidence in the committee right now of just moving this forward. I'd be a little more comfortable taking it to a second public meeting to the full council, but we have experts on this call right now that I'm not hearing concern from.
I think that the committee is in agreement with this response, but you bring up a good point that if we want to give another opportunity for the public to chime in, that might be reason to push it forward. I want to kind of keep next week's meeting as concise as possible because it is a special meeting in summer, but I would entertain putting this on the agenda.
Patrick?
The reason I haven't been commenting is I just started last week, so I'm just getting on board and I'm not prepared to make a specific comment on code language. If you're looking for feedback from our organization, if you want to push it out to another tag meeting or send it to the council, I'm happy to talk with folks in our organization and provide any feedback on the answer and the impacts it may have.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman, I will move that we move this to next week's special council meeting, add it to the agenda.
okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second. This is Todd.
Okay, is there any discussion? I am fine with the motion as it stands. I'm just wondering, Damon, do we want to move it to the council with what? An editorial comment that our group feels pretty confident that it's correct, but it's wanted to make sure that there is enough opportunity for people to comment on it.
Sure, we could move it to the full council with a recommendation to adopt.
And
Is there
I,
any,
I would also like to incorporate this change shown here in red in that draft.
Yes.
and I'll second that. Yeah.
okay. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
I
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you, Dustin. That was one. There's another one, correct?
Yes, sir. This one's a little bit more concise. So this one comes from the city of Spokane Valley. The question at hand is on section 2902.2.2 in the International Building Code. The section title is all gender facilities. So the question is, the Washington State amended 2021 IBC section 2902.2.2 item 2 includes the phrase all gender multi-user toilet rooms shall have water closets and urinals located in toilet compartments. Is this phrase intended to require that every all gender toilet room include both a water closet and urinal, or is the language intended to allow for a toilet room to include either a water closet or urinal, provided that the total fixture quantity serving the use is compliant with 2902.1.1.2, 2902.1.1.3, and table 2902.1. The answer I provided for this draft is an all gender bathroom must have either toilet or water closets located within a toilet compartment. An individual toilet compartment is not required to have both a urinal and a water closet. A toilet compartment is not prohibited from having both fixtures as long as placement is compliant with ICC A117.1-17. Fixture quantities required for both male and female users shall not be reduced below the minimum specified in table 2902.1.
Okay, Angela, you have your hand up?
That first sentence, I'm pretty sure it should say an all gender bathroom must have either a urinal or a water closet. A toilet and a water closet are the same thing.
You're correct.
Okay, just making sure.
And the question, I believe, on this one kind of stems from the use of toilet rooms and toilet compartments. So a toilet compartment is defined, toilet room is not, and a toilet compartment is a area within a bathroom that would contain a fixture for use.
Craig?
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I think
Something
that-
that's bothered me for years is the use of the term bathroom for a toilet room. I notice in the question, it's called a toilet room, and yet in our answer, we call it a bathroom. There's no bathtub in this facility. So I would suggest we get away from the use of the word bathroom and stick with toilet or whatever the proper term is.
Oh, restroom.
Restroom. Thank you.
I think that's fine. If I may speak up,
Yes.
but isn't a toilet room a series of toilet compartments? Isn't that what you just stated?
Yes.
So would that be more appropriate than restroom?
It could be.
I'll leave it to others here, but in the IBC, what's the best definition?
Let me get in there and we will see what they have.
I agree with the comment though, Craig. That makes it stronger.
The way I read it now, it does make sense to me. Elizabeth,
Yeah, I think if your all gender toilet room only has a urinal, it is no longer an all gender toilet room.
Well, the toilet room would have toilet compartments. And if you wanted to have just a urinal within a toilet compartment, you could, as long as the total number of fixtures for both male and female is not reduced.
Okay. That would imply you'd have you would have to have multiple toilet rooms if one of them were just a urinal.
I would say multiple toilet compartments.
Patrick.
I noticed the question has all gender hyphenated and the answer so far does not. If you're looking at the code, it might be nice to just make that consistent. I don't know what it says in the code, but just have it all match while we're at it.
Okay.
Angela.
Just because our amendment actually says all gender multi-user toilet rooms shall have. So we should probably just, toilet room would be the appropriate term there to keep it consistent. And then to Patrick's comment, the section title is all gender without a hyphen. Then our amendment has a hyphen. And I honestly don't know which one is correct, but again, there is a consistency thing. So, yeah.
I'm an engineer, not an English major, so I'm not sure which one is correct. But what I was going to say is, in the question, they have quoted all gender multi-user toilet rooms as though that is what is in the code. So should our answer be all gender multi-user toilet room?
So here's the code section. Here is the title is not all gender multi-user. I think
Okay.
that's just a colloquial term.
Okay, if that's what, I think that our answer should be quoting what the code section says. So all gender toilet facilities. I think that should be all gender toilet facilities, since that's what is referenced in the code.
And all gender is hyphenated throughout the code.
Dustin, can you go back to the code language just one more time, please? Thank you. Okay. I'm not clear on the difference between a facility and a room now. Can a toilet room be a single user? Is that what that applies? So there's multi-user toilet rooms and a single user toilet room. Multi-user toilet rooms can consist of multiple toilet compartments, is what I'm reading.
That's what I am thinking.
Okay.
Both of those terms are not defined in this code. So I'm relying on what's within the body of this section here.
Okay.
So are we ready to make a motion?
I will move to recommend approval of the response.
I second that. This is Craig.
Thanks, Craig. Is there any other discussion? Angela.
Sorry, just going back to the wording with the toilet facility. So the only place the facility is used is in the title of the section. And again, I'm sorry, this is a Washington state amendment. So, I mean, it's kind of our own thing that we created. But in the actual line of code that we're looking at, it does just say all gender multi-use toilet room. So, I mean, I guess I think that we should stay with that versus going to the only place that it says facility, which is the title of the section. But I mean, maybe that's nitpicking, but
I'm glad you said it, Angela. I'm in agreement with you.
So Damon, you're the
Yeah, I keep forgetting
the
I muted myself again. I have no problem with that.
okay.
Change facility to room.
And Craig, you're okay with that change as the second?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Any other discussion? My only comment is I agree, Angela, we kind of create the WAC is not clear. I don't think that we have. I think that we have clarified things in general, so it's a move forward, but.
oh, I'm just talking about the title of the section. That's all.
I know. Yeah.
I think we can say we tried today to.
Yes,
make it better.
exactly. That's what I was trying to say. So,
yeah.
okay. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Dustin, is that everything on our agenda?
That is everything on our agenda.
Does anybody have anything else for the good of the order? If not, I will suggest we end this meeting.
I endorse your suggestion. To take a vote.
Thanks, everybody, for the work today.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thanks.
Thanks, everybody.
Dustin, it was awesome, man.